The story called Vacation, a Travelogue, is like a, it's, it's this love letter to an older Swedish guy I worked with for 11 years. I was his carer. He was ill, and I spent so much time with him, traveling around, working with him. I would usually work nights and weekends, and I was studying every day. So that's basically how I paid for my studies, and having a family at the time. I wrote my novel during that time. I wrote most of the stories in this book during that time. And in the end, when he died, I felt like I wanted to give him something. I wanted to write a more autobiographical piece, talking about that something, just some of the moments we had together. So I will read you the opening and the end of this story, not the entire piece. Vacation, a travelogue. There it is. Either you love or you don't. Samuel Beckett, First Love. Mother told me I should never love my job. Like my job, that was socially acceptable behavior. Love it? That was too much. I did all kinds of work when I came to Sweden during the Balkan War. I was 17. I took Swedish lessons in the morning. In the afternoon, I mended fences, hosed down dirt from pink pigs, did the night watch at the textile factory, sold old records and hand-me-down guitars, painted school corridors. I did not love those jobs. Then I got a job that involved a lot of shit and piss and disease. Loved it. I became a carer to an old man in a wheelchair, Stefan. But I like to call him my Swede. He had a stroke. Stefan was a calm man who slept a lot, cherished his silences, and honed the art of patience. He listened to audiobooks for hours and lived for semla a day like a true patriot. He was blind in his right eye. His left eye could spot a stray cookie on a bookshelf like a bird spotting its prey. I'd place after eights all over his apartment, and then I'd say, "Let's take a sightseeing tour, shall we?" I'd drive him from the kitchen along the old oak bookshelves in the corridor, past the toilet, into the room where we care assistants had our own microwave oven and tea bags, then on through the flowerless living room and into his bedroom. I'd slow down and say things like, "And on the right side you can see the angry spirit of Strindberg slowly evaporating." This meant I'd put polka grease candy on the red room, which was his favorite. If he missed the hiding place, he'd make a circle in the air with his index finger. "Another tour, please." In the evenings, we watched TV for hours. We loved old thrillers, but he, despite his high education, had a peculiar penchant for crappy Swedish crime dramas. Since I was studying literature and philosophy on the side, I once played a smartass and said, "Maybe the simple plotting offers some existential structure to your broken life." "You're becoming too academic, boy. God help you. You should write some simple erotic poetry as an antidote." He showed me some poems about oral sex and damaged condoms. I laughed my ass off. "I'll leave you these in my will," he said. "Oh really, thanks, that's cool." "I need to piss," he said. Most of the time he did not really need to. He was just bored. My Swede bought a 7-day trip to Cyprus for September 11th, 2007. This vacation, our 6th, the care team consisted of 2 women and myself. His vacation would be mine too. I'd have a whole 24 hours off between my shifts. Luxury, I said to the others who were worried it would be too hard. I used to be the only one. On earlier trips I worked 24/7. One of the carers, Frida, the nice one, the pretty one, the chubby one, packed his bags and came with him to the airport. My wife packed my bag. Old clothes, socks, underwear, t-shirts, shorts. She said, "Don't bring these rags back." I filled the rest of the bag with my books. My Mistress's Sparrow is Dead, a collection of greatest love stories selected by Jeffrey Eugenides, Ethics of Identity by Kea Paya, my iPod, and my iBook. I went to bed past midnight and catnapped for an hour and a half. I had a dream in which my Swede was out of his wheelchair, running on a beach, chased by his other carer, big-breasted Helga. What a way to recover, huh? I will skip the middle parts when we are in Cyprus and all the things we do. You can read that in the book, but I want to read the ending 3 weeks later. After almost 11 years since our first meeting at St. Göran's Hospital in Stockholm, the interview to which I was late and did not think I'd get the job. After 11 years of doing what never felt like a job, but more like companionship, eating and laughing together, watching cheesy movies and reading classics, and respecting each other's silences, my wheelchaired Swede died. Although he had chest pains over the weekend, he refused to go to the hospital, but then he ended up at the ER on Monday. On Thursday, the nurses told me he could probably hear me, despite the morphine. I read him Beckett's story First Love, which is about death, and begins with a man who writes his own epitaph. Here under lies the above, who up below so hourly died that he lived on till now. I laughed. Beckett was so damn funny. My Swede didn't laugh. He breathed as if he wanted to inhale an extra dose of air to lift him off the bed. His eyes moved as if he was scanning the room. His mouth was white from dried spit. I found some moisturizing mouth gel, put it on my index finger and applied it to every part of his mouth cavity and his tongue. He didn't react at all. The breathing had a slower, more regular rhythm until it disappeared. Then I recited him the Al-Fatiha prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.